Well, that's a bit of a problem. It's Monday, I'm not in the yard. I'm on the M score 5. I am back in the UK. Straight away, I am bombarded with calls about £120,000, which we have to go legal on because we are not being paid. In the next breath, I'm being told there are suppliers that we can't pay because people aren't paying us. I've been asked what I want to do, and I've said, do you know what? Just go legal. The next questions I'm going to be asking is why these bills were allowed to run up so heavily based on the credit rating that some of these companies have got. On a slightly more positive note, I spent the majority of the flight back from St. Lucia looking at appraisals. Now, I want to build in St. Lucia. Does it make more sense to rent items like large boom pumps, or does it make sense to actually purchase them for the project and keep them on the island afterwards, alongside the cost to build per square foot versus the cost to sell per square foot, and the difference increasing the amount of levels in the building, and whether this drops the cost per square foot for me to build it, and therefore we can sell it at a more competitive price. So that was the majority of my flight. That'll be it for Monday. All right, look, from this point on, always need to be in full orange, boots, hard hat, high vis, orange trousers. No matter what, we never go underneath the train. We always wait till there's a split or we walk around. If you're looking to walk past the machine operator, you have to have eye contact and they have to acknowledge you. Never walk underneath the arm of the machine, and always stay out of the way of the loading shovel and the LH60. Now in there we are not on the main line, but we still need to observe the rules as if we were out on the main network with Network Rail. And it's Tuesday. We're in the yard. The train has arrived, but the train has arrived with 19 wagons and only 14 of them are loaded, which isn't great because we need the Type 1. However, it's still time to get those 14 wagons offloaded. Train is gone, fully offloaded. We've got a bit of a problem here. We have a leak. We tightened it up and then continued, but it was still just drizzling. So we need to get somebody in to have a look at this to ensure we stop this before the next train on Thursday. While we're looking at this, we had a look around and there are a couple of cracks on the bucket also. A couple of weeks back, we swapped the buckets because our second bucket has cracks in it as well. So now we have both buckets that have cracks. You never want to be in a position where you don't have a fully functional and operating bucket, because if something happens to this mid-offload and we can't offload the train, we're going to get a big fine. Well, that's a bit of a problem. On the roll on, roll off, the sheet is in absolute tatters. The entire system is bent. Now, this isn't a quick fix that we could do ourselves. This lorry can't go out on the road and it can't work. These things are sent to try us. Time now is 3 p.m. I put the problem with the easy sheet on the roll on, roll off on Instagram. Straight away, the company who made it sent us a drawing and asked what parts we need. Now, I don't know what we need, so I've given them Terry's details. It actually comes out of the side and then goes over the top. It's actually a really good system. Like the roof I told you about a few weeks ago, I do not think that just self-destructed and destroyed itself. Had an update on the new invoice finance facility. I had hoped that by the time I returned to the UK, it would be done. There was an audit which needed to take place, and the ABL fund facility, which basically means whenever we want an asset, i.e. a truck or a machine or a batch plant, as long as we pay 10%, then they give us the rest of the money and we have a certain amount of money which is approved. Now, one company, it's gone to the underwriter and I'm happy with the invoice financing limit they've provided, but they haven't confirmed the funding facility, what that will be. But now we have another lender who I would class as a tier 1 lender. They've come back to the table and said, what do we need to do to win the business? They're just waiting for our year-end accounts, which Donica, our CFO, has sent over to the accountant who's triple checking it, but he was on annual leave. So that's what's causing the delay there at the moment. David just came up to see me. If you look at this 3D plan of the kitchen at the Refurbishment Project, where we are now doing the underfloor heating, and there is an area which previously we didn't have any units. But look at this design, you'll see there's a television and there's some low level units. So the lads were asking, are we gonna do it? Are we not? We are not gonna put underfloor heating underneath that particular area because it's gonna be a waste. Something's happened with the signal in the local area and my mobile phone is not working from my desk. And every time I try to make a call, it says call failed and I have to go and stand outside to make a phone call unless I call people on WhatsApp. So that is extremely annoying. Hopefully they can get it sorted out and my phone can start working again so I can make calls and receive them. But I'm not complaining. It's 2024. Wednesday morning, I'm in the yard down by the bagging plant, about to take a look at this lorry that DAF have given us on demo. It does look pretty nice. It's obviously in the wrong color. I prefer it in black. So they've got the new age mirrors, the new front grille on it, but more operationally, the body of this lorry is actually well suited for the plant work we do. Unfortunately, we're not flat out busy on plant hire at the moment, but we have a lot of jobs which are meant to be starting in the next 2 to 3 weeks. This is probably the most kit I've seen in the yard in a very long time. I've been asking a lot of questions of companies in the same field and it seems to be the same across the board. I need to get some time with Ben and ask him how he feels about this. Having this coincides very well with the damage on the roll on roll off because it can't go out on the road without the sheet, so we can use this for plant hire at the moment and I believe that we have got it for another week. Today is going to be a day of Zoom calls and spreadsheets. You know, I always get these crazy harebrained schemes about what I'm going to do and the kit I want to buy. However, now, every time I have a bright idea, even if that idea is one of those ones that gives me butterflies in the stomach and I think, this is one of the great ideas I've had, I still do the numbers. And if the numbers don't work, then I just park it. And I think over the next 2 months, have I missed anything? Possibly there are other streams of revenue from it, but generally what happens is the longer I look at it, the more obstacles I find and the more costs associated with that. Then I begin to look at it and see which one of those costs can be spread across the business in other areas. Is it an overhead that the existing businesses are paying already? And therefore, will it contribute to those bills? The numbers often get in the way of dreams, but ultimately I'm at a point now where it has to be all about the numbers. If I want to do something because it feels great, I have to accept that basically that's dealt with like a hobby. If you look at Michael O'Donovan, Paul Fox's latest tipper driver, he has vintage lorries and he's created a museum for himself. Now he's never gonna make any money. Maybe he might make some money if he sold them all, but with the work he's put into it, it's never gonna make a profit. So I need to learn to differentiate between the two, which hasn't been easy, but I've got there in the end. What do you mean, you've had to go down to the job?
Yeah, Friday
really?
and Monday.
In Mitcham?
Yeah.
Oh, and how many scrap did we have yesterday?
Yesterday, 12 scrap. I've got something to show you if it's still there.
That went into a tyre?
That went into the tyre, was in that way, and that's what pushed it through and made a puncture. And I've not seen that, not a circle. Okay. This is the one I was going to patch it myself.
Yeah.
But when I put my prodder through the top, it was just growling cords.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what, we got just a couple now to put on the rim?
I can throw 2 new ones onto 2 rims. They got saved yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all chalked up, ready to buff and patch. Not good on the pocket, but yeah.
But luckily Benji is here to make all well. I was just on a call with the client's team from the Refurbishment Project. A couple of weeks back, we made the render of the pool house. Then we made changes. We added an additional skylight in the pool area and made the area wider to let more natural light in. The client's team would like the 3 skylights to be merged. We need to resend them the drawings with all the dimensions on it so they have a better idea of space. And the client has asked me if I can send a list of the gym equipment which I fit in there, because the client says that I'm a gym man, and he's correct. So they can work out if that is enough gym equipment to have a full body workout. Once we've managed to amend the drawings, we'll have to redo the render. The client can then make a decision on the pool house. It's Thursday, I'm not in the yard. I'm at the Refurbishment Project, and we are starting our meeting up in the loft, and we're going to work our way down. A couple of weeks back, I stood in this area and spoke to you about boarding this up. Well, it's all boarded up now. We're going to have our glass balustrade here, but now you have an idea of the space and what it's like. Now it's boarded up, and this lets loads of natural light into the area. It's going to be a little bit darker once we have a door here and a door here. What are you saying about the spotlights?
Okay. If you want to do plaster, you have to put the spotlights on. Yeah?
Fine. America. In case you're wondering why that young gentleman, Damien, is called America, is because for a long time on site, he was telling all the boys how great the USA was, and there's so many opportunities, and it's the best place, and go to America. So the boys said to him,
if America is so great, then why don't you go and live there?
So his name on the site is now America. Sloped, yeah?
Yes.
Where's the slope start?
From
there
up to there.
A building control all right with a slope there, yeah?
Yeah, I've accepted that.
Only area we're going to leave not plastered is this area, is these 2 boards. We can take off these boards of ply because we don't actually know what the sanitary wear is going to be.
LED strip.
LED strip above us, and we've got the low level light. America. We have our aircon. We have circulation. Show that old graphic, what we created. We finished in this area, and the ducts are in here, so we can start to close that. It's a decent sized space, man. Lots of natural light in here. Ooh, you open the windows as well. Fire alarm system. We're ready for the, we can't get the full dimension of the acoustic door until we do the floor. The door here must match the doors in the rest of the house, so there's continuity. I'm in the bathtub. Ah! We have a large bath going in here because the gentleman who owns this property is the same height as me. I think he thinks he's taller than me, but he's not. We are both 6'5". These are all the cables for the TV in place, yeah? The glass changed, so now it's permanently frosted, no longer a film. Look at that. You can see the niche, you can see all the pipes in the wall. We are ready for tiling. The massive tiles you saw a couple of weeks ago, we had to bring them upstairs and put them in the dressing room, because the opening you can see from the hallway, that is not going to be an opening. We've just done that for access. These are the floor standing bath, this is the floor standing bath spout. That's definitely going to remain in the edit, isn't it? That's right, he's laughing at my mistakes. And the bathroom is looking good. Bar 2, she's laughing. Double sinks over here. This is the towel radiator. All looking good. The cutouts for the air conditioning grills are done. You saw us doing that a couple of weeks back. And the client has confirmed that we will be going with the chandelier option, not the LED strip lighting, which is fine for us because we ran both sets of cables. Had a great idea. We may have a television at the foot of the bed, but what we're going to do is we are going to create a sort of small media area with all the sockets on the wall here. And if they do go for the TV at the end of the bed, we're going to run the cables either under the carpet or under the bed. But other than that, this room is ready for plastering. This bathroom is also ready for tiling. Over here, we have the pipes for the towel radiator. Here is our shower mixer. Our shower head is here. We have a lovely recess. Having a look at the render, you can see the recess lighting that's behind the ceiling. And if we have a look here, we can see the fantastic work to prepare for it. Our taps are wall mounted. These are the wastes for the sink. Here's electric for the vanity unit, which is going to be on the wall. We have our toilet cistern here. And over there, we have a bathtub. The fixtures and fittings are wall mounted. This bedroom is ready for plaster. And this is the next bathroom, what's going to get attention so we can prepare this for tiling. And I owe a lot of you a thank you. Remember I told you before about our Volkswagen van and we put it in and the coolant was reducing and we were worried and we stopped driving it and Volkswagen said there was nothing wrong with it. In the comments, I was told that everybody said it was the ERG valve. EGR valve. See, I still don't know what it is. The ERG valve. Yeah? EGR valve. Well, wherever it is, that valve. And we took it to another Volkswagen and we didn't ask. We told them. We said, this is what it is. And the technicians at Volkswagen, who didn't look at it for about 2 weeks, because they said they didn't have anyone qualified to look at it. But when the technician did come in who could look at it, he said, you are in fact correct. And not only did they change it, they changed it under warranty. At long last, our van is back and repaired. We are firing on all cylinders. On the ground floor, the steel work is almost done to support the staircase. Now this curved steel bolts here, here, and here. Now we're gonna take this steel and use this lift system to put it in place to ensure that it fits. And if it does, we are then gonna take it back down. We're not gonna attach it at the moment because we're gonna need to put temporary towers in this area in order to close up this ceiling. We need to leave some space.
900 by 600.
It's not a lot though.
Let's make the cables 300 from the copper, covered by the pictures, yeah?
Yes.
And then they can decide if they have bigger or not, yeah?
We have the starlights in the middle, like KSI's. Click here to watch that video. I would put power for both rows of seating, put one socket here, and one double socket on the back wall. And the sockets which are around the room will be used for cleaning and other bits. There's going to be backlit LED posters which can be changed. One here, and we're going to prepare for 3 on this wall. Fantastic.
Perfect.
Hear what the lad said? It's perfect. Well, that's it for the refurbishment project. I'm heading back to the yard, and as I arrive, the train should be pulling in. The train didn't get offloaded earlier. We had a problem with a possession on the main line, and we couldn't shunt. So 6 wagons went back loaded. We're still not that busy at the moment, although today is a little bit busier. And I'm trying to think of things that I can do to generate more revenue. How are we doing? Something which has come up in the past, and we're all guilty of this at times, when new people come on board to the business and they bring their sales contacts who are buying from us, sometimes your existing contacts, they're not forgotten, but they may not get the 120% service they were getting previously. So the only thing I could really think to do was to export a list of our revenue for the past 3 months and all the clients, and then export a list from the previous 3 months before that and compare them to see if anyone who hasn't used us in the last 0 to 3 months used us in the 3 to 6 months before that. People are going to say they're just not busy at the moment or they're waiting, which is a common story we're hearing everywhere, but we have to at least try. The lorries are out today, but it's not the best of work. You know, sometimes you're doing work because you've got a big machine to feed. If you park the lorry up, you still have to pay for the lorry. You still got to pay for the driver. You can't leave drivers at home, because if you do, they're not going to be your drivers much longer because they can go elsewhere. So it's difficult to know what to do. Who's to say all the jobs don't come on in the next 2 days and then you can't even cope with doing all the work because everybody's been waiting and everyone pushed the button at the same time? Who's to say? The time is 4:07. I'm going for a walk in the yard to have a look what's going on.
What's happening?
What's happening, Slips?
Less of the slippery. I wish I was slippery. I'll be retired now, wouldn't I? Living in the Bahamas somewhere.
And what do you mean only some people can call you Slippery? Why can't I call you Slippery?
Because you're not in the gang, are you?
So who's in the gang? Just you and Moneybags?
No, me and Foxy. We would never return to phone call. He needs to keep in with the London mob.
Do you know anyone at Volvo Enfield? I've got a volumetric in there. They're trying to work it out. Is that seagulls I can hear in the back? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm in the yard.
Will you tell them seagulls to stop?
So I know the manager there very well.
I need that lorry out of there, Michael. And what's the matter with your throat?
I got grounded wet last Friday. I went out Saturday like a youngster. Around the dance floor like I was John Travolta. Sunday morning, oh my God, couldn't talk. I was coughing and I've been coughing all week. My singing career's finished.
No way. So you're called a man at Volvo for me, yeah?
I don't get here till 9 o'clock.
What fitter don't get in till 9 o'clock? What are you talking about?
No, he's not the fitter, he's the manager of the workshop.
How can you manage a workshop in a main dealership getting in at 9 o'clock?
Top boy, I've never had a problem since he started there. He is one of these fellas that understands you need the lorry, get stuck into it.
I got a training this morning that needs offload. Let me guess, you've had a training today?
We've had 3 trains in this morning. 2 LH60s that offloaded both trains at the same time.
Really? Are they red LH60s?
So we had to get dump trucks to draw it up to where we were tipping. The yard's so big.
Just out of interest, why would you need dump trucks to move material to where you're tipping, the material you imported?
The yard's so big, we only got, I think, 35, 40 carriages this morning. It was a little bit shorter than what we usually have, so we had to get the dump trucks out, 35 tonners.
What sort of locomotive was pulling 40 wagons at 75 tonne each? So I learn about trains.
I think the name on the side of it was called Thomas. Another one you still play with at home.
Yeah, the ones I still... Yes, Michael, very good. If you're anything, you're consistent. I'll give you that.
That's for sure. I'll find out from that man in Volvos for you.
All right, mate. The volumetric you saw us buy at S&S Concrete, it still hasn't done a day's work. Not because I bought a bad lorry, but we had a couple of issues with it when we started doing a few bits in the yard. We've taken it to different fitters, we've done all the mechanical work around it, resprayed it, and now there's a problem with the system. Cameras and media isn't working, and no one's going to be driving a lorry, well, not on my watch anyway, without the cameras working. And now, in the yard, a train has arrived. Does that look like a train to you? Because it most definitely does not look like a train to me. Turns out there was a problem with production where the material was coming from and the train was never loaded. But did anybody tell us? Flow's not in, so we hired in an operator, and the operator turned up because we didn't know, and now we have to pay for a shift, and now we don't have the material. It's one of those weeks where things aren't going according to plan, and there are a number of difficult discussions. I told you last week about the problems with cash flow, which were short term. In order to explain it, I need to let you know what an invoice financing facility is. We draw down 85% of each invoice. Once the client pays, then we get the other 15%, which is all well and good, and we were flat out busy and we were having record months up to November, but then it fell off a cliff in December, as it normally does. Busy January, not too busy February. If you imagine we're delivering material for, let's say, 100 quid, and our expenses associated with that were 80 quid, there's 20 quid of profit in there. We're doing work now that, let's say, is 50 quid, but 50 quid of it is profit. But the trouble with invoice financing drawdowns is that you draw the revenue number. So we're doing more profitable work now than we were, but we're generating overall less revenue for it. And what you're paying for now is for the material you took when you had the higher revenue work. So you're paying retrospectively. It's a short-term problem, but it's painful, and it's the worst. I just hate cash flow problems. Stops me sleeping, bothers me. It's like walking around with a cloud above your head the entire time. And I'm trying to stop this from happening again, and I'm thinking, what have I done wrong? Because you have to take responsibility for things like this. And we've got cash flow forecasts, we've got everything in place, we've got digital systems, the business is digitalized, I've put a team in place, but how do I forecast what sort of work it will be in the future? In our game, work isn't contracted. Right, you get a PO for 100,000 tonne of material, but that's going to be drawn down over a longer period of time. And a lot of the projects that we work with, the ground workers and the construction companies, they call you the day, 2 days, 3 days before. Concrete, generally, you get between 48 hours and a week's notice, but some people call you the day before. So you can do all the cash flow forecasts in the world you want. We're going to generate this much revenue, we're going to be busy. You might be busy, but who's to say what sort of work it's going to be and what revenue that would generate? So I thought I had all the bases covered doing financial forecasts. Clearly not. Now I have to hold it together, steady the ship, and stay in control of the situation as best I can. I can't cross here because the train, oh, well, there is no train, so I can cross safely. Saturday, and I'm in the yard, brainstorming and trying to think of ways to overcome problems. And it's always good to talk to people, and people might have value they can add. But sometimes you have to spend some time by yourself and think and try to get a clear headspace. So I didn't get to the yard this morning at 6 a.m. I actually did the opposite. I went to one of the 2 gyms I go to, and I jumped in an ice cold bath, and I stayed in there for 12 minutes. A lot of you are going to say, he didn't stay in there for 12 minutes. I did, and it was 0.2 degrees. Now everyone has a different kind of happy and refresh empty cache space. That is mine. I feel like when I sit in there and then I get out, it's probably psychological, but then again, most things are psychological. I feel like I've cleared my mind, I've closed all the tabs like an internet browser, and I can try to think clearly. It's important to have time by yourself to do that, and it's important to guard some of your time and your energy. Let me give you an example. People will tend to say to you, what are you doing on this day? And they automatically think if you're not working, that they are entitled to your time. There are instances, irrespective of who that person is, unless of course it's a dependent or very close family, where you need to say, no, that is not what I want to do. I understand that that is not a popular decision to make, and people can feel that it's confrontational, and other people may feel that you're being rude. But if you need time to reset your mind so you can think clearly about the challenges in your life, then unfortunately, you're gonna have to be a little bit unpopular. Me personally, I understand. Or you could spend the time with people who genuinely try to help you through issues. When I sit down with Jan or Tunde or Paul, if they tell me they've got a problem, it's probably quite annoying. I'll go, have you tried this? What about this? Explain the problem to me in full. And I'll try to problem solve, and I'll turn the problem into a we problem. And they do the same for me. But there's some other people, it's not a bad thing, it doesn't make them a bad person. It's just some other people say, don't worry, it will be all right. And the truth be told, when you're punching at a certain weight and you're in a certain league, it won't be all right. You have to make it all right. And there's a time and a place to have fun and dinner and have a couple of drinks and enjoy with people like that. But then there's times like this when you really need to think your way out of a challenge. And that's it for Ashville Weekly, episode 181. Click here for the Ashville website. Click here to subscribe to our channel. Click down here to see an Ashville video you may not have seen before, and click down there for last week's episode, which was number 180. Now we have a new member in the video team filming, Luke. And Luke, we have to leave 20 seconds here for the cards.